Yo, what's good, everyone? Probably are good right now. Golden State Warriors blow it. Is that a safe way to describe this one? Felt exactly like the Denver Nuggets game. A 6-point lead with 2 minutes left, and the Warriors go the final 3-0-3 without scoring any points. How did they not score any points? How did they get back into this one after one of the most disgusting first halves in NBA history? That's not hyperbole. The team fought hard, just not enough scoring down the stretch. It's becoming a recurring theme as the Warriors are knocked out of the NBA Cup. Let's discuss. Welcome back, Kylan.
Hello.
You are Locked On Warriors, your daily Golden State Warriors podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Didn't mean for the intro to step on your toes like that. Welcome, Kylan. How are you? Good to see you. This is Locked On Warriors.
Good to see you as well. It's all good. Now I know where I stand. We got some music rolling in the background here. But great to be back. Not great to be back under these circumstances, though, as the Dubs fall in a tough one, not scoring in the last 3.5 minutes of this ball game.
You can catch the podcast wherever you get your audio podcasts. Apple, Spotify, Google will always be waiting there for you in the morning. And then right after the game's end, we got the live shows on YouTube. If you're chilling with us right now on YouTube, come join 15,000 diehard Golden State Warriors fans on the channel. Leave some comments, like the stream, do all the stuff that's free. We very much appreciate it. We will feature your comments on the show. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Now is also a good time to tell you to look at the bottom of your screen and see LockedOnDaily.com. That is where a free daily newsletter filled with Warriors information and just league nuggets as a whole is delivered right to your inbox daily, free, LockedOnDaily.com. Where do you want to start, Kylan? Because the notes right now that I have are kind of the disgusting first half, how you come back after a disgusting first half, and down the stretch. I guess we just started off with what happened down the stretch while it's fresh on our minds.
You're the host, my man, so you get to decide the direction.
I am your man, and I am the host. That makes me feel good about myself. So I guess let's start with the fact that it felt like Denver. Fitz and Kalena said it. I'm sure the TNT broadcast, if they did their prep, they said it as well. Did not watch the TNT broadcast, but it felt like Denver. There was the egregious Draymond turnover where he's looking for Kuminga, threw it into a popcorn vendor's face. There was the play where Kuminga tried to go ISO. I think this was actually one of their last buckets of the game. It gave the Warriors a 7-point lead. Actually, the Kuminga corner three to give them an 89-82 lead was the largest lead of the game, and it was the last field goal the Warriors hit to go up 89-82. But right before that, Kuminga tried to go ISO. Kuminga has it poked away. It goes right to Pods, and everyone's thinking, they're thinking Pods. No. And Pods just sizes up his defender and bangs one in, foreshadowing, because Pods got the last shot of the game and he missed it. But down the stretch, it was just turnovers. It was ugly basketball. There were not many good looks. Gary Payton had a chance with about, 7 seconds left to get it to Jonathan Kuminga. Ends up in the hands of a Rockets player. I think it was Jalen Green. And Kuminga, instead of just, this is where we talk about IQ, Kylan, because instead of just letting the clock essentially run out, kind of reaches over Jalen Green, and you can correct me if it was someone else, and fouls him in that situation. And, at first I thought, bad call. You cannot let the stripes determine a game like that. It was the right call. He went over the back, and in a game that was so physical, you hate to see how that ends. But the Warriors were up 1 with 3 seconds left. They called a foul, 2 free throws knocked in, and Golden State really never gets off a clean look. Just as you're watching this game unfold, the emotions going through your mind, what were they?
Frustration. I think that's the number one emotion of a lot of Warriors fans watching the last 3.5 minutes when the Warriors just could not score. I mean, it was just bad possession after bad possession, shot clock violations, back-to-back, turnovers, bad shots too early in the shot clock, contested looks. it just did not look like the Warriors basketball they were playing in the third quarter. There also were 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter you have to factor in. They got the turnover situation under control in the third. They were taking care of the basketball, moving the ball without being sloppy is what they were doing, and they did not execute that in the fourth quarter. I know you just talked about kind of the final seconds, but going back to under 30 seconds to go, Steph Curry has the ball, Dubs up 1. There was a couple second differential in the shot clock to game clock. So no, you don't necessarily have the last look, but you want to wind the shot clock down further. And Steph took a 3 with, I want to say 11, 12 to go. And that's way too early. Take it down to the last second before you get a look. And if you need to force up a shot at that point, then maybe, but there was still time left before the shot clock was down. And I think that Steph took that 3-pointer way too soon to put the Warriors in a tough position. Then there's a scramble. Then the ball ended up on the floor. Then the foul took place, which was an unfortunate call, given this was a very physical game. I don't think the refs were doing the Dubs any favors in that regard. But still, I was frustrated with Steph Curry. I did not think he was good in the clutch time tonight. Steph is regularly the leader of this team, but I just don't think he was great. Draymond Green, I don't think was great in those last couple of minutes of the fourth quarter. And it was just a frustrating loss. The inbounds play I also was questioning. You don't need to go for a 3-point look when you're down by 1. And the 3 ball wasn't falling for the Dubs throughout this game. They were shooting 18% from deep at the half. They finished
Forget that. They barely got it in.
Well, they couldn't find a clean look. I will agree with you on that. But like, look for some type of screen, split action, something. I would have tried to get the ball down lower, closer to the basket. But then again, I agree with you. I don't think that necessarily was plan A in terms of that inbounds play to begin with, but it just was, it was bad. I mean, it was bad all the way around. Like I said, the turnovers, the execution, shot selection, the decision-making there at the end of the game, whatever was happening on that inbounds, it just, none of it was working for the Dubs. And they got to figure this out, because this is a recurring theme where the Warriors cannot execute in crunch time. And it's been the difference in so many games. The last couple of minutes of the fourth quarter, you pointed out the Denver game where the Dubs let leads slip away. It's so frustrating to watch this team play well, or at least battle back like they did in this game for 35 minutes, 36 minutes, 37 minutes, then not be able to close out.
And we can debate all day whether that was a foul, whether it was not a foul. I mean, the big argument is you can't call that, right? You can't call that 70 feet away from the bucket, bodies on the floor, and decide a game with a foul in that situation. But hey, you know, if the refs see it, they're not going to swallow the whistle. They're going to call it in that moment, and it gives the Rockets a chance to win a game at the charity stripe, which is the worst way to see a game go down. But back to that Steph Curry play, it seemed like he was forcing a night-night there. Seemed like he was waiting for it. He knocks that down. The Warriors pretty much win, but he took it with what? 10 seconds to go.
That's what I was saying. It was like 11 seconds.
Could have ran the shot clock. Could have ran the game clock down to, I think, 3 or 4 seconds.
Yep.
Because there was 27.
7 or 8. Yep. There were 7 or 8, I think, on the shot clock still at that point. So what? Take the time down more.
Yeah, I was saying just make them foul you. Eventually, they have to foul you, right? They're the Houston Rockets. I mean, they're not a good shooting team. You really think that they're going to get the rebound with 1.5 seconds left and like their chances to win that game with a 3-point shot or with the, inbounds play to get it close to the bucket, whatever it may be? Like the Rockets were kind of in a pickle there. Udoka was kind of in a pickle there with what to do, because at some point Curry bailed them out. It was as simple as that. He bailed them out because he could have ran that thing down real low. And when you take a 3-pointer with 4 seconds on the clock, it's pretty much game over, right? By the time that thing, I mean, someone gets a hand on it. Kuminga goes in. He was offensive boarding all night. He had 5 of them. He goes in and tips that thing up that the horn sounds. So we'll never know what the Rockets would have done in that situation, but it did feel like Steph Curry definitely bailed him out. So what can you do? That's a tough loss. We got to how the game ended down the stretch. We're going to feature some of your comments, but I want to tell you about the first and second quarter where the Warriors failed to score 20 points in each, 37 points in the first half. Completely unacceptable. It was unacceptable down the stretch, and it started to bring up a theme of the season, and that is the Warriors can go on stretches where they're good. It usually involves Buddy Hield lighting it up, but when they don't have Hield, and in a game where they don't have Wiggins, at some point, they just run out of scoring. And they did it once again tonight in a loss to the Houston Rockets. Final score, Rockets 91 and the Warriors 90 felt like we were in 1997 again with a game in the low 90s. Locked On Warriors continues after this with more breakdown from the Dubs' elimination loss in the NBA Cup. First, I want to tell you about one of my favorite apps out there. It's the Gametime app. And the reason that I love the Gametime app is because it's so convenient and it's so flexible, everyone. First of all, the closer you get to your event, the cheaper the tickets get. And that can be a comedy show. It can be theater. It can be a live event. It can be sports, whatever. Closer you get, cheaper the tickets get. Procrastinators rejoice. Kylan loves to hear that. So pitch the box office, everyone. You also get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy, so you know the tickets you're getting. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime Picks. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNBA for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It is game time. 22 turnovers for the Golden State Warriors in the game today. They go the final 303, not scoring a single point. The question is, how were they even in this game? Against the top 4 team in the West and the Houston Rockets, how in the hell were the Warriors able to stick this one out? And a lot of it has to do with the fact that the Rockets, they just can't shoot the basketball. I mean, I got to get up these final numbers, Kylan, because it was, once again, not a thing of beauty.
They shot 22% from three. They shot 22% from three. I know that.
22%, 6 of 27, and you don't pull out that game if you're a Golden State. Disgusting first half. If you've seen the movie Bird Box, where they walk around the entire time with the blindfolds, and if they take them off, they turn into a possessed human being, that was us watching this first half. It was gross. It was an abomination. It was a travesty. I could spend the entire show going with adjectives to describe how ugly it was. I don't know what was uglier, the first quarter, the second quarter. I mean, they were equally as bad. 1 of 9 from 3 for Golden State in the second. It was a rock fight, 37 first half points, 10 turnovers in the first 14 minutes. And you knew it was going to be one of these ugly games when you saw Draymond Green throwing it all over the floor to start. Steph Curry literally, and this is getting nauseating, how one of the greatest basketball players of all time puts himself in situations where he's up in the air in no man's land and just flings it behind his head like he's in the second grade again. I was doing that way back when. And then the Rockets had 3 offensive boards on the first possession, and you're thinking, oh, no, this could get ugly. And it was ugly for the entire first half, but the Warriors were able to come back in the second half. How you come back, 1 turnover in the entire third quarter. That's when the game flipped, along with a Buddy Hield barrage. What did you like about Golden State in that third quarter, Kylan?
They took care of the basketball. I mean, that's the number one thing. For the Dubs, they've got to have ball movement, but not be sloppy and give the ball away. And that's what they were doing in the first and second quarters, and that's what they did in the fourth quarter. It was just too much sloppiness. Draymond Green in particular had a couple of just, whether it be telegraph passes, cross-court looks. The Rockets are a good enough team. They're going to punish you if you're just going to be sloppy and loose with the basketball. And so the Warriors were better. Only 1 turnover in that third quarter. They were taking care of the ball. They were getting higher quality shots. And this is also a team that values or needs to value possessions and make the most of them. They can't afford to just give the ball away. And that was the biggest difference in the third quarter. In addition to, you pointed out, Buddy Hield starting to get hot, knocking down some shots. I also want to say at least a positive from this game was Jonathan Kuminga these last couple games has been on a tear. I love to see his aggressiveness. When the outside shot wasn't falling for the Dubs, they couldn't hit the 3 ball. Go inside, let some of the big men. And this is where I do think missing Andrew Wiggins hurt. And that's something that needs to be addressed in this show as well. But Jonathan Kuminga being able to go to the basket, being aggressive and just attacking in the offense, I think is a huge thing the Warriors needed when the outside shot wasn't falling. And, you know, Steve Kerr opted to go small in the starting lineup. And you wonder how much that is a factor as well, with Draymond Green playing at the 5, Jonathan Kuminga at the 4, rather than having one of their true 5s starting out there. And I say true 5, and Kevon Looney's still a small 5, but you also got Trace Jackson Davis on the bench. I think is a choice. It's a choice. Is the small ball working? Is it time to reevaluate? I do think that that was a factor in why the Warriors came out slow. And I didn't love the starting lineup. And I can predict after this game, we're going to hear Steve Kerr say, we're still figuring out combinations. It's night in, night out. It's matchup dependent, blah, blah, blah. I didn't love the starting five, and the five that finished the game flat out just didn't execute.
Yeah, it's the catch-22 with Gary Payton, right? Because he plays good defense. He's a glue guy. He helps you win. We all love Gary. But my God, is his shot ugly. And the thing is, it's like it was 36% last year. He's at 17% on the season. He cannot hit water if he fell out of a damn boat. I don't remember him ever be. I mean, even if you got a 33% Gary Payton, just 1 in 3, he knocks down the open three. It's a completely different game. But you don't even have to guard him. You don't even have to guard him. Like, he cannot shoot right now. And then when you have him on the floor at the same time as Bajemski, you essentially have two dudes that are like Sandy Lyle from Crocodile Tears, a little Along Came Polly reference. Rain Dance. I know you love that movie, Kylan. Anyways, going back to Kuminga.
I like Ben Stiller.
Yeah, it's a good movie, man. The risk factor there, he just won't do anything risky. Kuminga, though, when he stops settling and plays his game, he's so damn good. And he leads the way with 20 points, 8 of 20 from the floor, 2 of 6 from 3. Knocked down one of his first threes that he attempted and was jawing at Dylan Brooks, was jawing at the Houston bench. And then I thought he settled. There was a play where Şengün was on him, and he could have easily taken Şengün to the shed there. Could have made a move on him, scored it another way, and just settles. Shoots the three, did it later in the game as well. He got on the offensive glass, the 5 boards, had a wide open lane one play, ended up settling and firing a 3. So that's kind of the storyline for me right now with Jonathan Kuminga. Is it's quit settling, do what you do best. He's got a good mid-range game. The turnaround jumper's nice. The back down and fadeaway is good. Like, he's got some tricks in the bag. Stay away from that 3. 6 of them to me is too many. And I know it's 33% is my math awful? Yeah, 33.3%. But he's shooting 30% on the season. The numbers don't lie. He's at best an all right shooter from deep in the NBA. Quit taking so much of him, Don't make that part of your game.
I think he needs to just flat out get better at the 3 because
Island, this isn't Hogwarts, we cast a spell and all of a sudden he's
guess what? Get in the gym, figure it out.
We saw him in the gym all summer, and he knocks down the open ones. I saw him hit 17 straight in Twitter video.
He hit a wide open corner 3 down the stretch. But here's another bone I have to pick with Jonathan Kuminga. I was getting so frustrated with the missed free throws. In 1, 2, 3-point games, going 2 of 6 from the charity stripe is not acceptable. And Jonathan Kuminga is a player who has to be aggressive in attacking the basket and playing through contact, and he's going to draw fouls, and that's something he should be good at doing. But you have to be able to hit the free throws when you draw the fouls. And you look at the difference in this game. If he had gone 4 of 6, the Warriors win by 1. So that's another bone I have to pick with Jonathan Kuminga, although, he did lead the Dubs with 20 points. 7 boards, I think, is good because something I've wanted him to do is be aggressive on the glass. I thought as a team, the Warriors were pretty good about getting after it. They won the rebounding battle 39-35, and especially in the second half, that was something. In the third quarter, I felt like they were really pounding the glass and collecting boards. They had the 11-7 edge, no boards. And I do think that made a difference. The Warriors were aggressive in trying to pull in rebounds. But Jonathan Kuminga has to hit foul shots. That's another thing. Work on the 3 ball, work on the foul shots. As a team, the Dubs need to hit free throws.
4 of 9.
4 of 9, but also they've got to be getting more free throws. I don't know. I just feel like the Dubs, you've got to be more aggressive.
Rockets only went for 10 on the other side. The difference is they went 9 of 10, 90%.
It's because they weren't calling any fouls.
It was a slugfest. It was a rock fight. I said it at the beginning. It was a rock fight until back at the end, which is crazy. If you like that style of physical basketball, then you love the way it was officiated until the very end of the game. The issue is, in my opinion, I think Kuminga did foul there. I don't think you call it, but one way or the other, someone's going to be pissed, whether it's Rockets fans, whether it's Warriors fans. Kuminga's got to know better. Situational basketball, just like the situations I brought up earlier. When you have Şengün on you, you got to know, hey, I can blow past this guy. He's a traffic cone out on the perimeter. I can blow past him. In that situation, you got to know, all right, when Peyton threw it to me, there was like 6 seconds left on the clock. There can't be more than 3 or 4 seconds. I got to back off and let this guy get the ball away. And Houston's going to be firing up a half quarter or calling a timeout if they had one in that situation. But it comes down to that, Kylan, situational basketball. I want to talk some Buddy Hield. Do you have anything else you want to get into before we head into the break?
The one positive is that this was an NBA Cup game, and I have decided I'm not a fan of it. I'm still trying to come around. I don't like the courts. I don't like.
You don't like the Eastern Washington red.
Oh, I do not love the court. But also, I guess that's the one positive thing is that this wasn't league play.
Hey, that's the thing is you want to hang up the banner. You want to keep going. You want a free trip to Vegas.
You still want to win. Like, don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying if or in a situation like this where you throw away a couple of wins, you should have beat the Nuggets. You should have beat the Rockets. Maybe a silver lining.
The silver lining is I think you look at this team and see that they're close. They're competitive. They play hard. Like if you have one bone to pick with the Warriors, it's that they're just not good enough. They're missing a score. They're missing one final piece to really complete the team, and they have egregious turnovers. There's a couple complaints you can make, and sometimes the rotations can be baffling. There's a complaint.
Yeah.
Pods and Peyton can't shoot, yet they're on the floor. There's a complaint. So there are complaints in that sense. But in terms of the guys playing hard, like you can't complain. This team shows up. They stay in games even when they shoot abysmal. 4 of 20 from 3 in the first half. This is a team that hit 27 3-pointers in a preseason game. This is supposed to be their identity. They're supposed to let them fly. They let them fly today. They just did not hit a ton of them. Final numbers for Golden State from 3, 12 of 38 for 31%. The assist number 22. That's not going to get it done. If there's one big silver lining, though, it's how about the toughness? They out-rebound the Houston Rockets. That's the Rockets' mantra. Is toughness, grit, physicality. The Warriors matched it today. So everyone in the chat saying Warriors need a big, Warriors need a center, Warriors need this. Warriors need some scoring, damn it. We'll continue the conversation coming up. About our friends over at FanDuel, everyone. They're official sponsor of the show. Hey, NFL fans, get ready to tackle the remaining portion of the NFL season with FanDuel. It's America's #1 sports book. And right now you could bet $5 and you'll get 150 in bonus bets if you win that $5 bet. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. It's consolidation. So when you get that hunch in the middle of the game, you know who's scoring the next bucket. You think let's say you're watching a baseball game and you think that the next at-bat is going to be a home run. You'll get some crazy odds for that. You can see the play-by-play. You can view the stats. You can do it all where you place your bets. Visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. You can visit FanDuel.com to make the wager. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. For tonight's NBA game, the Golden State Warriors were getting 3.5 points. So if you took the Warriors with the 3.5, you could keep some of those points Vegas. They do cover. If you took them at plus 130 on the money line, that's why you always take the points. Visit FanDuel.com to make Warriors wagers. That's just frustrating, Kylan. Frustrating. I thought 6-point lead because it was the broadcaster's jinx. How many times did Fitz and Kalina say it down the stretch? This feels like Denver. This feels like that. You can't talk that into the universe. They just kept talking it into the universe. Hey, I think we've been talking Buddy Hield back into really the scoring mix because there was a moment there where he was just not bringing anything to the table after a blazing start. Today, it was much more than just the scoring. Played great defense. Steals, had 3 blocks in the game. Overall, Hield finishes with 15 points, scoring 11 of them in the third quarter, which coincidentally was the Warriors' best quarter. They're at their best when Buddy Hield knocks down shots. When he scores more than 18 in a game, they're undefeated. That was the clip I was looking for. He does not hit that mark. Goes for 0 in the fourth quarter, and really everyone goes for 0 down the stretch. We mentioned Kuminga hits that 3 to score 89 with 4 minutes left, and they get 1 point the rest of the way. Not a single field goal. How are the Warriors going to fix this thing? Can they do it in-house with some tweaks here and there with just protecting the basketball better? Or do we need to see some sort of a trade to shake this thing up?
The Warriors are a good team. They need a trade to be a great team. That's where I stand. That's where I stood coming into this season, looking at this roster on paper. I think coming out the gate, the Dubs didn't have a super hard schedule. They got out to a hot start. Everyone's feeling super excited. And I think they're good. I think they're a good team. I think the chemistry we saw early was a positive sign. But I still think they're a piece away from being a great team. Could they make a trade before the deadline to elevate this to a contender type of squad? I still think it's possible. What might be on the market? That's a big question mark. I don't know if you've seen the reports. I've been reading Jimmy Butler maybe to the Mavs, and the Warriors play the Mavs here coming up, or that he'd be open to it. I've seen some people in the chat say LeBron. People in the chat are saying Zach LaVine. We'll have to do another episode diving into some of that, but I don't know that they have the answer in-house. That's where I'm going to stand on this. I think they need another addition. I will say that I was impressed with Buddy Hield's play in this game. You said that 18 points is the mark where the Warriors are undefeated. I mean, he was super productive with 15, despite the fact that no one on the Dubs could hit in the fourth quarter. +9 in the plus-minus category was the best on the team. And I just thought he was hustling, running for boards. He had 4 rebounds, 2 steals, 3 blocks. He was all over the place. Only 1 turnover, which on a night where the Warriors were just coughing the ball up left and right is a positive thing. I like Buddy Hield's play. And shooting 3 of 9 from deep isn't necessarily what you want from him, but I thought he was playing hard. He had a lot of intensity. He was making some hustle plays, and he put up 15 points. At the end of the day, other Warriors need to do something, and they need more players to step up. I was underwhelmed with Brandon Pajemski in this game, 31 minutes, and I don't think that he did enough. I didn't love it. He hit that 1 3 off the jab step late in the game. Was that third or fourth quarter? Oh, God.
That was late fourth quarter.
Yeah, that was quarter. He hit a big 3, and I was like, yes, here we go, finally. But I was underwhelmed by his performance overall, despite the fact that he went 2 of 5 from 3-point land. I think the Dubs would have to make an addition to be a contender type of team, but I think they're a good squad. I think some of these things are things they can overcome. They had an unusually off shooting night. They were missing Andrew Wiggins. That has to be acknowledged as a huge factor. I hated the starting lineup. I think it was way too small. Gary Payton II, Steph Curry, Buddy Hield, 3 guys 6'4" and under. Why? That doesn't work in today's NBA unless you think you're going to run teams out the gym, sprint around. Sorry, but no. The Warriors lost the battle in terms of
why? Why are we talking size matters, Kylan? We all know this. But why are we talking about size when they out rebound the most physical team in the NBA? Like that wasn't the issue. I mean, unless you're saying because they need a back to the basket center or someone that you could dump it down to get a bucket like Jokic. Jokic doesn't grow on trees. What they need is someone to step in there, and you got a defensive specialist in Peyton. You got kind of a Swiss Army knife in Pods who's getting a ton of minutes right now. They need just a scoring combo guard. I got a couple names I'll throw at you. Obviously, there's the Nets trio of Schroeder, of who is it that was involved? Well, let's just go Schroeder and Cam Johnson, because those are the two that could potentially help you out. And it wouldn't take a ton to get them. It would essentially be Melton and another expiring contract and some draft picks for Cam Johnson. But I'm really looking at 2 players. One was Anthony Simons, because he can score. Then I was just kind of like, I don't know if he moves the needle to where you really want to get rid of draft capital and bring in Simons for what? He's making $26 million too. Then I kind of looked at Toronto, because they're a dumpster fire and they have a ton of player on 3-year deals. And I wonder if they would kind of reset things and get rid of one of their players. And it's RJ Barrett, who averages like 25 a game, was one of the top recruits in the country out of high school, was a star at Duke, had some good years in New York, and doesn't really get a ton of talk, right? Doesn't get a ton of chatter, but he's a good player. He could score some points. So he's someone I look at. It's going to be interesting to see what the Warriors do before February 6th, but they have to do something. Like, I look at both these teams. The Rockets are nice. They got a nice future ahead of them. Their issue is you can't win an NBA championship like that in today's day and age. You got to have someone that can bang some buckets more than just Fred VanVleet, and Reed Shepherd's not there yet. So they just don't have enough bucket getters to win a title. Pistons did it, sure. This isn't 2005, 4, something like that when the Pistons won it, A. And B, that Pistons team was just better. I mean, it's better defensively, tougher, Hall of Famers, just a completely different team. So if the Rockets want to stand a chance this season, they have to go out and find themselves a shooter. I talked to Jackson Gatlin of Locked On Warriors. We previewed this game, Locked On Rockets, excuse me, when we previewed this game for the crossover. And he basically said he doesn't think Houston's doing anything. This is kind of the calm before the storm. See what they have, maybe make some moves in the offseason. They could make some moves if they wanted to, and obviously they were tied to Jimmy Butler. But for the Warriors, like they just have to do something. Beginning of the year, I thought with Melton, maybe not. He's putting up, 18 points in his final couple of games. You got to replace that scoring. And whether it's with someone like I mentioned, an RJ Barrett, or whether it's with a big that can stretch the floor like a Miles Turner, whether it's making that blockbuster move and going out and somehow adding, I don't even think Jimmy Butler gets it done, but let's take the step up and go with LeBron, because everyone seems to be talking LeBron. They make that move, sure. I just don't see how there's any possible way you can match salaries. And LA probably doesn't want to make that move. I just don't think it's happening. So that's kind of the debacle you're in, the pickle you stand in right now. It's that everyone listening to the show knows the Warriors just don't have the juice in the tank. They're close. They're waiting in the weeds. They're ready to pounce. I've been saying it. But how do you pounce? That's going to be the tough job that Dunleavy, Lacob, Kerr, and company have over the next month or two. Or maybe we get just nuclear Steph Curry putting up 30-point night after 30-point night. But lately it's been a pretty consistent. I mean, he had 19 in the game today. It's been a pretty consistent 19 to 28.
It's not sustainable. Steph Curry in his late 30s can't be expected to put up 30, 30, 30 every single night. I'm going to go back to my point about size. Someone mentioned in the chat or was asking, who would you start? I'd put Trace Jackson Davis in and slide Draymond Green to the 4 and Jonathan Kuminga to the 3, because it does matter. Size does matter, Chuck. The Warriors started out terrible in this game. I guess the idea is that you put Draymond Green on Şengün and that helps get him out.
Good. He was good.
And he's good, but I'm just saying, and he was. I guess that's the idea, but at the same time, you look at the points in the paint disparity. The Warriors were outscored inside by nearly 18 points, I believe. And on a night when you can't hit the 3 ball and you're struggling, you have to have someone who can score in the interior. There was a point in the third or fourth quarter where it was like the Red Sea parted and Draymond Green had to drive to the basket and the man can't score a layup. Death taxes and Draymond Green missed layups. Who do they have that they can pound it to inside that can get you a bucket? When the 3 ball doesn't fall, the Warriors struggle flat out, and especially when they turn the ball over. They can't turn the ball over and miss 3 shots. When you live and die by the 3, I just think they need to diversify their offense. And Jonathan Kuminga is a guy who can attack the basket. We saw some of that tonight, and he put up 20, and that's great. But you don't have a bona fide interior scorer on this team. I think Trace Jackson Davis is a legitimate center in the NBA. I was a little bit disappointed we didn't see more of him. 15 minutes, 4 points, 1 board, 1 assist tonight. But I still think you could bring in a big, whether it be a stretch shooting big, whether it be a more traditional 5. I've been advocating for that all offseason, and I'm not going to stop now because
I'll give you a hot take.
And I don't disagree with you on another playmaker. Listen, if they brought in an all-star who was like a wing or another, some of that type, or shooter, then I would be okay with it.
Getting rid of Wiggins.
Buddy Hield. You've already got
rid of Wiggins. That's the issue. And you saw the effect of not having Wiggins today. That's two-way Wiggs. That's 17-point Wiggs. I mean, you're missing 17 points from Andrew Wiggins tonight, and you notice it down the stretch of the game. And that's the issue with going out and swinging for the fences, getting one of these big stars. Sure, you're bringing in someone that's better than Andrew Wiggins offensively, but you're still getting rid of Wiggins. So does that get you over the top? And what's the draft capital that you're attaching to it? You better win. That's all I'm saying. Like, Kolsky's like, hey, what if we went out and got Dennis Schroeder and gave up DeAnthony Melton's contract and a 1st and 2nd round pick for Dennis Schroeder? It's like, well, are you winning the championship? Because his contract expires. And if you don't win the championship, you just gave up a 1st and 2nd round pick. I mean, you got to play chess more so than checkers. How Joe Lacob, how Dunleavy are going to do it. It's going to be fascinating. It's going to be fun to talk about. But the Warriors lose 91-90. Andrew Wiggins did not play in the game. Warriors fought hard. What they did down the stretch, though, they blew it. See ya, Kylan. This is Locked On Warriors. You blew it.
And Draymond Green